Welcome to The Explainer. In a world that's so driven by data and tech, you hear it all the time, right? That technology has all the answers. But what about the human side of things? Today, we're diving into why social science, which is really just the study of us, is more important than ever.
So, to really get why this all matters, let's just start by looking at the world we actually live in. Because it's a place of some pretty stark and honestly kind of baffling contrasts. I mean, think about it. On one hand, you've got this timeless, almost serene natural beauty. And then, on the other, you have this relentless march of technological progress, completely reshaping our lives with every new building and bit of data. This quote just perfectly captures our modern dilemma, doesn't it? We're living in this age of incredible possibility, where we can connect with anyone, anywhere, instantly. But at the exact same time, we are facing some huge challenges. Global conflicts, deep social divides, and an environment that is under some serious strain. Which brings us to the big question, right? With all this complexity swirling around, how do we actually make sense of our societies in a way that helps us build a better, more sustainable future? And the answer, the main tool we've developed for this exact task, is social science. To put it simply, social science is the field of study that's all about us, how we live, how we interact with each other, how we organize ourselves into everything from families to entire nations. It's really the science of being human together. And this right here is the key. Social science isn't just about dusting off old history books. Nope, it's a hands-on tool for figuring out why our world works the way it does right now so we can hopefully make smarter decisions for tomorrow. Now, a field this big can feel a little overwhelming. So to get a handle on it, social scientists often look at the world through different lenses, with each one focusing on a specific part of the human experience. These lenses really give us a framework. So Land and the People looks at how our environment, from mountains to rivers, shapes everything from trade to conflict. Tapestry of the Past, well, that's history. It's about knowing we can't get today without understanding yesterday. Cultural Heritage dives into those invisible forces like our beliefs and values. And Governance and Democracy? That one analyzes the power structures and rules that organize our lives. Okay, so that's the theory, but let's make this practical. We're going to take that very first lens, Land and the People, and see how it works by looking at something we all use every single day, probably without a second thought: maps. They are just a perfect example of trying to bring some order to all the chaos. And this really gets to a core principle of social science, finding the simple systems that actually govern our complex world. Because get this, whether you're using a fancy app on your phone or an old-school paper atlas, the basic rules for representing our world are universal. Pretty much every map out there boils down to three key things. First, you've got distance, or scale, which is how we shrink the entire world to fit in our hand. Then there's direction, which orients us with points like north and south. And finally, symbols, basically a visual shorthand for everything from rivers to restaurants, packing a ton of data into simple little icons. So maps are great at showing us the what and the where in general. But how do you pinpoint one exact spot on a planet that's, over 500 million square kilometers in size? Well, it works just like a grid. Think about a chessboard. To find one specific square, you need two pieces of information, right? A letter and a number, like D4. You need two coordinates to find that single spot. Believe it or not, the Earth uses this exact same idea. We have these imaginary horizontal lines called latitude, which measure how far north or south you are from the equator. And then we have vertical lines called longitude, measuring how far east or west you are from the prime meridian. And together, those two lines give every single spot on Earth its own unique address. Okay, so we've got the building blocks down. Time to put what you've learned to the test. I'm going to throw a question up on the screen. Let's see if you can spot the right answer based on this system. All right, take a look at the options here. Based on what we just went over about the Earth's grid system, which one of these statements is actually true? If you picked B, you nailed it. The South Pole is, in fact, located at 90 degrees south latitude. And just so we're clear on why the others don't work, those parallels of latitude, they actually get shorter and shorter as you get closer to the poles. And time zones, well, they often bend and zigzag around borders for political reasons, so they aren't perfectly straight like meridians are. And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? We started with the sheer complexity of human society, and we ended with the clean, elegant logic of a map grid. And that is the power of social science. It gives us models and tools to understand our world, from our physical place on the globe to our place in history. It's not about having all the answers, but it's about learning how to ask better questions. So the only question left is, what part of our human story are you going to explore next?